Imagine this. Find the perfect parcel of land. You do your checks, you do all your verifications, you have the meeting, you make payment, you shake hands, and you go your separate ways. That is you and the person selling. And you are happy, feeling like a new landowner. Fast forward to some weeks later, you are about clearing the land to take possession and start work on that land. Somebody shows up and begins to hassle you, law enforcement, and begins to harass you for trespassing on her land. This is not just another content, this is a reality. I know people who have gone through similar ordeals. And in this video, we're going to address the things that matter. What should you do? How should you go about it? What are the technicalities? And what is the remedy, if there be any, for the person who is in the victim in this scenario? We're going to take case studies from both Nigeria and from countries across the continents. Now, in the previous shot that I posted on this platform, I asked the question that what is this called under land law? So I'm going to address this right now. So this whole concept falls under the concept of co-ownership or joint ownership. So in Nigeria, it is looked at as a joint tenancy, whereby both parties, that is the husband and the wife, or Mr. B and Mrs. B in this case, both own 100% of that land. So their interest in that land is 100% each. It is not as if one party owns half, the other party owns the other half. That being said, one party selling the land to a third party is not legally right. The party transferring that ownership does not have the authority to do such alone. If a sale must occur on that land, both parties or both owners must come together and agree before transferring that ownership to a third party. In law, there is this Latin maxim, nemo dat quod non habet, which simply means you cannot give what you do not have. So for one party to transfer land to you without the other party's consent is voidable, simply because he doesn't have the 100% authority, or she doesn't have the 100% authority to transfer the land or the ownership of that land without the consent of the other party. The second question I asked in the short I put was, what is the remedy, if there are any? This video is in no way a substitute for proper professional counsel. We are just more like people who are pointing you toward the direction of where you need to go. But what are the three remedies that we could look at? The first one is take an action for recovery, and which means you have to sue Mr. B for breach of contract or for taking advantage of the situation, basically. So you can sue Mr. B. That is the first step. Obviously, to sue will require money because you will have to pay the lawyer that would take your case. Number two, you could report to relevant authorities. Now, this particular case, if it's presented before, say, the police, or in Nigeria, we call them the EFCC, the Economic Financial Crimes Commission, which handles matters of fraud-related cases. If there are people out there who are facing something similar, this is something you could actually do, right? Because the person knew that the land it contains two owners, Mr. and Mrs., but went ahead and sold it as a singular entity. So it's already a false pretense. It's already a false premise. So you could actually report him to authorities and hope and pray that justice is served. Okay. And then number three is you might have to just consider negotiating. Now, if Mrs. B or the other aggrieved owner is open to negotiations, then you could also consider negotiating with them. So they might be open to negotiations whereby they will ratify the sale and also give their own consent. And they may not even be open to any negotiations, but it is what? A try. Because here is the thing. Mrs. B or that aggrieved owner is under no obligation to honor the sale or to even be a part of it. Important thing, and I say this quickly, is always ensure you do your due diligence. Do not be a sucker. Do not behave under pressure or duress simply because you love a property and you just want to go ahead and buy it. Always make sure you go with the proper professionals, experts in that field, and take time to analyze the entire process before you part with your hard-earned money. I want us to examine what would play out in the UK. There is a law in the UK called overreaching, which protects the interest of the buyer when they pay two or more owners of a particular piece of property. Because only one party was paid or one owner was paid, the interest of the buyer is not protected, which means the other owner has every right to take you to court and of course, recover their premises because it is their premise and it is their right. So the concept of overreaching wouldn't work in this scenario, which means Mrs. B has every right to do what she's doing, and you, the buyer, have a weak case or don't have a case against Mrs. B. In the US, joint ownerships are usually seen as, especially in this context of the marriage, is usually seen as the property belonging to the marriage and not to the individuals, which means that because it belongs to the marriage, no individual person can just call the shots and demand the sale without the consent of all the parties involved in that marriage. What that simply means is if this incident occurred in the US, Mrs. B is protected, the aggrieved owner is protected by law, and which means the buyer is still going to run at a loss. And let's even take one more from the United Arab Emirates. So here it's even much more organized and structured and very, very strict. Every transaction in the United Arab Emirates goes through the Dubai Land Department, or DLD as they are called. For joint ownership, every owner of that particular property, be it land or building, is listed on the title deed of that land. And whenever any sale is to occur of that property, it has to go through the DLD. So there is no such thing as bypassing one owner just to effect a sale. Every owner must give a consent, being present at the DLD or at the time of transaction or through a notarized legal representative. So this kind of fraudulent activities are very rare in a regulated system. My recommendation. So this DLD concept is something that I would recommend be implemented in the Nigerian legal system of land purchase or property purchase, or in the whole process whereby everything is done through a ministry or through a department or through an office. So there is no such way of bypassing or boycotting one party to earn a quick gain or to defraud another party. I've had people call me and want to sell their land, but when I see on the document that it belongs to a husband or wife or to a couple, I ask the question, where is the other person's consent? And when they can't provide it, then you don't go ahead with that transaction. You don't even collect the brief or the property in the first place. I see some desperate agents do it, and then they end up entering into this kind of scenarios. Let the sales go through the proper offices. Maybe a department should be created for such, or since we have the land registry, that way it makes it transparent and every party, both the seller, the buyer, and even the agents involved are protected. That is the first one. The second thing is always hire a professional, be it a lawyer, an estate surveyor and valuer, an experienced property agent. Don't do it on your own because this can save you a lot. Number three, always conduct your search. Verify it at the land registry of whatever state you are in Nigeria. Don't just take their words for it because in the verification process, the land information is revealed to you and then you get to know everything about that land. Number four is when undergoing any transaction, demand for the title documents up front. That way you could see whether it's a Mr. and Mrs. document. You could see, you could have that copy. It doesn't have to be the original. It's just a copy, a photocopy. You could take it and run your verifications before you begin to part with money and negotiate or discuss terms. I know there are some people that will tell you that we can't release it until we agree on terms. Fine. And you put it in the clause or in the negotiation as well that fine, we've agreed on this term subject to my verifications and my findings. I will pay this term if everything checks out. But if everything doesn't check out after I've run my verification on that document or on the copies you've given me, then whatever price you're saying, we'll have to revisit it. Make sure all the parties involved sign. Do not just be rushed into anything. Ensure that every owner, every person who has a stake in that land or authority on that land signs. And you see this a lot, especially for people who buy family lands. Let all the family members be present, the head of the family, the secretary, the this, the that, all the children or their children's children, or whoever is representing each family, be available to sign. This is very important because if one person doesn't sign, for instance, There is nothing that stops them from coming tomorrow to deny the sale, even if they were present at that sale, to deny it and say, no, this was done without our consent. Going back to our original story, and this is in conclusion, the buyer's fault or the buyer's mistake was not ensuring that all the parties, or not doing their due diligence, not being vigilant to observe the document to see that it belongs to a Mr. and a Mrs. You know, in Africa, we always believe that whatever the man says, the man is the head of the household, is the head of the home. Whatever the man says is final. But under the law, it doesn't work that way. Due diligence is not just another buzzword, it is your protection. It is what preserves your right in cases like this. Have you ever experienced this kind of situation before? Or do you know someone who has? You could leave a comment and explain what happened or what transpired. And let's learn from experiences out there beyond just what I have said. If you have any other questions concerning this scenario, you could leave your comment. And as soon as I can, I will respond to you.